Hello, I have come after quite some time again in the video mode because some of you have requested me, asked me, and I'm happy for it. But the thing is that it takes a lot of time to upload. Anyway, today, I want to specifically address the issue of the relation between epic and tragedy as per Aristotle. As per Aristotle, I repeat this, there is some reason. First of all, our general sense of epic is that of a huge compendium which includes everything about a race or a culture, at least at some point of time. This is not only an Indian concept, but it is there in the West also. This is different from Aristotle's idea of the epic, which we often miss. So, I would just like to categorically point out in Aristotle, epic is basically a derivative of drama so far as form is concerned. So far as content is concerned, it is the other way around. Tragedies are written out of epics, and he also admits that epics generally have longer size and take greater space, but nonetheless he is in favor of epics which are as pointed or as to the point as he wants his tragedies to be. So that point we have to remember in understanding the difference between epic and tragedy so far as Aristotle is concerned. Now we know that epic comes from the Greek word epos, which means both word and song. And then here it is also instructive to remember the Western definition of epic as a heroic song, which is not exactly the same as the Indian Mahakavya, which has many qualifiers. On that, I will talk in a separate video. Primarily, what Aristotle says is that epic and tragedy are more or less the same thing. One, you know, one's prime target is imitation through action on the stage, and the other, in the case of other, the manner of imitation is through words. So obviously, two things that we have in tragedy we do not have in epic: plot, character, thought, diction, melody, and spectacle. These are the six elements of tragedy, very famous in Aristotle, just as like the six limbs or angas of the Vedas: Shiksha, Nirukta, Kalpa, Chanda, Vyakarana, and Jyotisha. These six are Shadangas of Veda. So recently, there was Saraswati Puja, so some of you who worship, you may have uttered the mantra Veda Vedanga Vedanta Vidyasthanebha Evacha. What is Vedanga? These are the six limbs of Vedas: Shiksha, Nirukta, Kalpa, Chanda, Vyakarana, and Jyotisha. Now, whether this is Ganita Jyotish or Phalita Jyotish, which is a Vedanga, that is, whether it's astronomy or astrology, that will require a separate video. That is not our purpose today. But similarly, plot, character, thought, diction, spectacle, and melody, these are the six lanes of a tragedy. In epic, you have the previous four: plot, character, thought, and diction. There is no spectacle or melody. Spectacle will be the mental, you have to imagine, and then no melody because it's not being acted out. When you make tragedies out of epic, all this will be there, but obviously it requires lesser elements. But to the contrary, you know, imaginative space and narrative space that it can afford to represent epic is definitely much greater than a tragedy. So, Aristotle says that, for example, it is difficult to show parallel things in drama. Two incidents happening in the same moment, you could not show those days. Though these days in television, I mean, in cinematography, with the development of different kinds of software and all, you can show 4 5 things happening together. When we make WhatsApp calls these days, 6 people are shown, but those days on stage it was not possible. Even now it is not possible on stage, so far as I know. There may be in some kinds of plays screen is put in between and two parallel incidents are shown, but that it looks artificial. So primarily you cannot do this simultaneous representations and play, but you can do it in an epic because you are narrating the thing. Otherwise, he says all are same basically. He prefers an epic which focuses on a single action. So that is why I said Aristotle's idea of epic is neither like our or nor like the general Western idea of an epic. It is not a compendium of everything as we are consciously or unconsciously trained to think. It also is dedicated to a single action according to Aristotle. His classic example is Iliad. He says, the Trojan War was there even before Homer chose to write, and then but then Homer did not represent the Trojan War in its entirety. He had a particular action in mind, though that particular action he has not elaborated, Aristotle, but we can be certain that this is the killing of Hector. So, taking a cue from this, the Indian poet Michael Madhusudan Datta tried to make a tragedy out of Iliad. Not tragedy, kind of, yeah, it was another epic, Hector Both Kabbu. So, killing of Hector, from insinuations of Aristotle, we can gather, not the elopement of Helen, because that is in the pre history of the epic, that is the killing of Hector. That is the center of that epic. I mean, in one word, Aristotle looks at epic with the glasses of tragedy. For him, tragedy is the main thing. Only in this regard, subsequent Western criticism did not follow him because there also epic is thought to be the highest form. Otherwise, in every other regard or respect, Aristotle, whatever Aristotle said was law. So clear. So these two are different. I mean, more or less same. So even if there are multiple actions, in tragedy, sorry, epic, they must be subjected to one action and they must constitute one organic whole. That organic whole is an obsession with kind of Aristotle. So, like a living being, it should be. And this found favor with Coleridge, for example, much later. It was one of his core ideas on the basis of which he formulated the agency which achieves the organic whole as secondary imagination. You know, it coalesces things together in such a way that they appear to be a complete whole, they're inseparable. The parts and whole. Parts of a tragedy or epic should be such that if you take out any part, the whole tragedy will collapse. That cannot be said about our epics, that cannot be said about our Bollywood films and most of our novels also. There are many things which, you know, are quite extraneous to the main plot. So that is why I said Aristotle warns us against this. Then finally, he also says that likewise in tragedy, in epic also, you know, uh, probable impossibilities are to be preferred to improbable possibilities, right? Probable impossibilities are to be preferred to improbable possibilities. So, what does it mean? I will not explain this a question to my students. Please try to find out what he means by probable and possible and improbable and impossible. For us, their model is the same, but he does not think so. I mean, he used Greek words, but we have supplemented them with English equivalents. There's a difference between that. I can give you a clue on is actual happening and the other is likelihood of happening. And based on this, there's a difference between probability and possibility. Now, it has to be there. Then, uh, it can be of character or of suffering, very much as tragedy. An epic can be an epic of character or epic of suffering. And with all these things, finally, he concludes that, first of all, tragedy has more elements than epic, so it is definitely better than epic. Secondly, it is it is more unified, the unity of action or unity in general, though Aristotle said only about unity of action, I told in my previous talk, and indicated about the unity of time. He did not talk about three unities, which was a contribution of the Renaissance critics, especially Italian critics of the Renaissance. Now, anyway, unity of action is achieved in a easier way, in a more complete and compact way in tragedies than in epic. Then the third important point, very important point, is basically that the time time span, both time and space. What a tragedy achieves in 2 3 hours a play, an epic may take you hours and hours to read and finally to get that effect. And uh, all these actually finally lead him to conclude that basically epic is a lesser form in comparison to tragedy. And yes, uh, the there is another point which I had missed out. I just checked it. This is slightly puerile, I mean childish, that a tragedy can be can be played as well as read out, whereas an epic can only be read out. So again, there also tragedy has greater possibility than epic. So it is somewhat childish, the entire thing. This is more elements, this is less. It requires more time to achieve it, and it requires less. So that way, and then this can be played and acted both, I mean played and read both, that is tragedy. Epic can only be acted, and then there is greater unity in tragedy than in epic. This may be a critically valid point. All this make him to finally conclude that the epic is the higher form, and tragedy is the higher form and highest form, and epic is second to tragedy.